What is up, friends? Welcome back to another episode of We Want to Talk Podcast, where we want to talk to you about everything. I'm Kaylyn.
And I'm Alyssa.
And we're obviously your hosts. Wherever you're listening, make sure you like, subscribe, share, all of the above. Obviously, we appreciate it so much. And yeah, there's that. If you can't tell by the title of today's episode or the stack of books we have going on right here, if you're watching us on YouTube, then you can see the stack of books. We are talking about all things like reading and books, how we're obsessed with it, and we're going to make you obsessed with it too.
Yes. I'm so excited. Let's get started.
I know. I hope y'all are excited. We're kind of taking like our own direction into this today.
Yeah.
But I'm really excited. Really excited. So, we figured it would make the most sense if I feel like every single podcast, we're like, where do we start? And we start from the beginning, as always. Duh. So, today we're going to start from the beginning, talk about how we got into reading, why we started reading, so on. So, I figured, for me, I'll kind of start. So, I loved reading in middle and high school.
I didn't.
I don't know if you remember, but I read, which we were just talking about this the other week, but I read the whole Divergent series.
Yeah.
I read the Hunger Games series, which, oh my gosh. Well, never mind. This isn't embarrassing, but even in primary school, me and Mike were just talking about this the other night. Dude, not even just Junie B. Jones. Magic Treehouse.
Yeah.
Captain Underpants.
Yes, the Captain Underpants were so good.
Diary of a Wimpy Kid.
Yes.
I was laughing with Mike the other night, telling him, like, do you remember when in Captain Underpants where it would have the page and you would, like, open it and it would have, like, the comic, like, you would flip the page back and forth, you know, and it would have, it like, the animated cartoon on the page?
Yeah. I don't remember that.
Oh, my gosh. Well, it was so freaking funny. I loved reading those books. But, honestly, I don't really remember reading much after Hunger Games and Divergent. I think just being in high school.
Well, that's when they stopped doing AR, too.
Yeah.
So we were kind of, like, not forced to read, but kind of forced to read.
But, yeah, I agree. You weren't really being forced to read, but you weren't being forced to read for AR anymore, but you were being forced to read in school. You had to read for English classes, and I feel like once you get to high school, the fun of reading kind of like goes away. So I wasn't really into reading anymore. So sad. I don't know why I took such a long break, especially even going into college. Oh my gosh. I remember ordering, which I still have it here. I need to read it because the movie comes out, I think, November of next year, but I have the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes in there going along with the Hunger Games series.
Oh. Wow.
I'm pretty sure it's about Haymitch's story, and that's why I bought it, because I was like, well, I read all of Hunger Games, maybe I'll at least enjoy reading this book, and I still just was not at a time in my life to where I was back ready to dive into reading.
Yeah.
Well, I obviously don't have a job anymore. Well, I do, but I work from home. Yeah. I work from home. So I do have a lot of free time on my hands, and even with work, I work from my phone, and I'm so tired of being on my phone all the time, because when I'm not on my phone for work, I'm on my phone for entertainment. And so finally I was like, okay, I'm so tired of being on my phone, and I have seen so many, like, my For You page was filled with Booktok. Mm-hmm. I kept seeing Booktok TikToks, people talking about, especially like Colleen Hoover and talking about that stuff. So one day I finally caved and I ordered It Ends With Us, and it's been like nonstop since then. After I read It Ends With Us, I bought Ugly Love and Verity, and now I'm 37 books deep since March.
37 books.
I'm on my 38th book right now, but by the time you listen to this, because we're recording this like 2 weeks before it comes out, because we're kind of catching up a little bit, got some things going on, I will probably definitely be over the 40 mark for sure.
Oh, yeah. Most definitely.
Absolutely.
Like 40, 43.
Yeah. So.
Book a day.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kaylyn actually got me into reading. I remember she called me and she was like, this might be weird, but I just ordered a book. And I was like, well, what book did you order? And she's like, well, it Ends With Us. And I remember, it was like years ago, I don't even remember how I had seen it. Or it might not even be years ago. I don't even know when It Ends With Us came out.
I think 2018, 2016, 2018. Okay, so it just recently blew back up.
Okay, I saw something about
I'm pretty sure.
This was probably a year and a half ago. And you know how, like, Apple Books will give you, like, the free version of it? And it's, like, the first. Okay, yeah. So it was a while ago. So Apple Books gives you, like, the first 20 pages free, or, like, the first 2 chapters free or something. And I read the first 2 chapters, and I liked it. But I guess for some reason I was being cheap, and I was like, oh, I'm not going to buy it, because I'm probably not going to read it. And so Kaylyn told me she had gotten it, and I was like, okay, bet. I'm going to read it when you get done with it. Yeah. Like, let me get it. And so my nephew reads like crazy. And so he had his, like, whole library. And so I went through his books, and I saw Where the Crawdads Sing. And that was the only book that stuck out to me. Like, I had seen the title before. So that's the one I grabbed, and I read it. And it was crazy because the movie comes out.
And right after that, they announced the movie.
Yeah, it was weird. But I really liked Where the Crawdads Sing, and I'm glad that was my first book. We'll kind of get into that later.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I put you on to reading, and not even just you, but also Shay.
Yeah.
Now Shay reads almost as much as I do.
Shay's read more than I,
Yeah, Shay reads a lot. I freaking love it. Like, because when I first started reading, I was like, I was talking to all of y'all about it. Like, I remember going to Shay's house and being like, I am obsessed with reading. I've read so much in the last week. And she's like, really? And I'm like, yes. I was like, listen, let me bring you a book. Like, you just got to, like, I think I might have given her It Ends With Us first. Like, that was the first book I'd given her. I was like, you just got to read one book for me. Like, just read one. And, like, just let me know. And then after that, she was like, okay, what else do you have?
That's what she did to me, too. Yes. She sent me home with It Ends With Us. And then she, every week, she was reading them so fast. I have another part-time job, so I don't really have that much time to read. But she was reading them so fast, so she's the one buying all of them. And so every time I come to Statesboro, she's, like, sending me home with, like, 3 or 4 books. And I'm like, I don't even have time to read all these.
Because I buy so many. I love it.
Yeah. So I've only read, like, 10 books. I'm, like, 10.
You're way behind me.
On my 11th, and she's on her 40th, so.
Yeah. Love it, love it, love it. So, yeah, with that being said, I kind of next wanted to go into... Well, obviously, since Alyssa's only read 10, I figured it would only make sense for her to give you her top 5. Since I've read so many, I'll give my top 10 books. Just so you can kind of, we'll definitely kind of go into it a little bit more throughout this episode. But I just really wanted to give, like, our top books so you can kind of see where we are. Which, I feel like, huge disclaimer, we should have said this, but we mostly read romance.
Yeah.
I've read a couple of, like, thrillers, mysteries. Like, I've also read The Paris Apartment. I haven't read it yet, but in my TBR pile, I have And Then She Was Gone. Shay also ordered, like, the guest list, and so I definitely have some on there, but I'm a diehard romance girl. I want all the love.
Yes.
I want all the spice. I want everything, okay? So... you will definitely hear that most of these are going to be romance books that we list off. So if you're not a huge romance fan, then this whole episode might not be necessarily for you. So.
But if you haven't read a romance book and you're just saying, oh, I wouldn't like it, try it.
Yes.
Take our advice. They're so good.
It will make you believe in love again.
Yes.
Okay?
Okay, I'm going to give my top 5 first. So I'm going to preface this with... these are books that Kaylyn's handed off to me, so she's read them first. So when she hands them to me, she already knows they're good because she's not going to hand me a book that's not good. So even though I've only read 10, this was so hard for me to choose a top 5 because I think I've given, like, I've given Alyssa's all. I've given 5 stars.
Yeah, I've given Alyssa, Shay, all of my, like, best books that I've read.
Yeah. Okay, so number 1 for me has to be It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. It is.
If you're on YouTube, you'll see it at the top of our
site.
So
good. I'm not going to give too much description, but so good. Second is Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score. This book is longer, but
amazing. I will absolutely talk about this book. Naomi and Knox.
Yes.
Y'all.
It's an epic.
It is one of the best books I've ever read in my entire life. It deserves its own discussion in this episode.
It does.
Because
we will talk about it.
It is so good. It is so good.
Okay, third for me is Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. This one was the second or third book I read. Yeah. I really loved it. It's a little bit of a different romance. It's not like the typical Colleen Hoover books and stuff, but I really loved it, and I loved the twist at the end. Mm-hmm. And then number 4 is Reminders of Him. It's so deserving.
Amazing.
Love that
I could cry thinking about it.
Yes. And number 5 is November 9 by Colleen. I just say this for every single one of them. Like, I love it. I love it. Yes. I love it. They're so good.
We'll go into more detail about, like, we have a whole list. We're going to talk about all of, like, our Colleen Hoover books and, like, what order we think you should read them in. So we'll kind of go into a little bit more of a description on the Colleen Hoover books once we get to that part. So.
Colleen's the star of the show today.
Absolutely. Oh, my gosh. I saw a TikTok this morning, actually, where the girl was saying, like, Colleen Hoover's great and all, but I don't know, like, why y'all are obsessing over her. There's so many better authors. And I'm like, the thing about Colleen is I have not read one thing that I do not like.
I've been seeing a lot of Colleen slander.
Every single one of her books has gotten 5 stars from me except from one. And it still got a 4.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. She's amazing.
Anyways, I'm going to go into my top 10 books now, which Alyssa thought was going to be hard for me, but it actually wasn't, because these are the books that I can still tell you what they're about. I still love them. They're amazing. Also, before I get started, I'm not sure if y'all will be able to hear any, like, background noises, but my dog, for some reason, has been, like, roaming around the house, and her little nails are, like, tip-tapping, like, all over the floor. So if you hear anything in the background and you're wondering what it is, I'm so sorry, okay? But, so just wanted to give that little bit of a disclaimer. So let me get started on my top 10. Okay. Starting off with number 1, we were just talking about it, but Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score. I am a diehard advocate for this book. It is so good. The plot is everything. It's about this girl, and her sister kind of ends up pushing her child off onto her. And, of course, she ends up meeting a guy in the small town that she's not from. She just gets out of, she leaves a man at the altar. And so it's, like, this huge, like, she's got stuff going on. And, of course, it's, like, the good, like, grumpy sunshine trope, which is one of my favorites, when the guy acts like he doesn't want
He's
the
not
girl.
interested.
Oh, I love it. So that's definitely my number 1 book. I think about it to this day, and I can promise you, when I give myself enough time to recover from it, I will reread it.
Yeah. I have to give myself like 3 months, enough time to forget.
See, I think I'm gonna need longer than that. I think I want to give myself like a year.
I'm awful at remembering
we're
things,
a lot different on that. But okay, number 2, Reminders of Him by Colleen Hoover. If you read Things We Never Got Over and Reminders of Him, they're actually pretty similar plot-wise. They both involve the girl going to the small town. They both involve children. The male main character in both books, like, works at a bar. They both have money, run the town. So you will find that those both have similarities, but they're both equally amazing in their own way. Number 3 for me actually isn't just one book. It's going to be a whole series, because you can't number the series. Like, they just have to be listed all together. And that's going to be the Hopeless series by Colleen Hoover. So it's going to be Hopeless, Losing Hope, Finding Cinderella, and then Finding Perfect. Absolutely wrecked.
I'm excited to read those. I haven't read those yet.
I just finished them maybe a week and a half, maybe almost 2 weeks ago, because I finished them the Sunday we came home from the wedding. And I will never be the same. That is one, even book, like even Hopeless, is a book from Colleen Hoover that I feel like is not getting the recognition it deserves. Like, It Ends With Us, great. Hopeless, a completely different scale. Like, and now I would like to say that the Hopeless series does have some extreme trigger warnings, so it's going to have suicide. It's going to have sexual assault and stuff like that. So just wanted to throw that out there because while those are great books, they are very hard to read.
That's another thing, too. A lot of Colleen Hoover's books do have trigger warnings, so I would at least look it up before you decide to read one.
Child loss, a lot. So
yeah.
I would definitely make sure you look into that before. But anyways, number 4 is Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover. If y'all cannot tell, I freaking love my girl Colleen Hoover. She's amazing. So Ugly Love is great. Miles and Tate. I need me a Miles, okay?
You have a Miles.
Miles and Mike, they're close. I guess they're the same thing. So my number 5 is Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. Alyssa hasn't read that one yet, but
it's
y'all,
next.
oh my
That's my next
gosh,
one.
that is also, it is chef's kiss, okay? I bawled like a baby at the end of that book. Not what I was expecting at all. She really throws you, or they, because I don't know if you know, but Christina Lauren are actually 2 different authors that write the book together. So one's name is Christina, one's name is Lauren, and they put their names together.
I did not know that. Wow.
Yes. So they're amazing. I love everything I've read by Christina Lauren so far. But my number 6 is It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey. I do also love Hook, Line, and Sinker, which is like kind of like the series with that. It's about the Bellinger sisters, and I love those books. But It Happened One Summer definitely makes it in my top 10. So, and then number 7 is The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren, because like I said, I love Christina Lauren. The Unhoneymooners actually ended up being a DNF for Alyssa.
I did not finish it at all.
I loved it.
Yeah, I'm not
but
sure.
But that just goes to show you that me and Alyssa are a little bit different. So.
Yeah.
Number 8 is The Love Hypothesis by Allie Hazelwood. I don't know if you've read that one yet. I think Shay might have it.
No, I have not read that.
It is such like a serotonin boost. The whole book.
Ah.
So happy. I smiled the whole entire book. It has a little bit of humor in it. Just the whole book made me so happy.
Shay, bring me that one. I want that one.
I know. We're probably about to go pick it up, but so good. Number 9 is It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. It can't not be on the list.
Yeah.
It's such a great book. I love that Colleen throws you for that loop at the end that you're not expecting. And I know we absolutely cannot wait for It Starts With Us to come out in October.
I got chills talking about it.
I need to pre-order it because I already know it's going to fly off the shelves.
We're going to have to both buy it because I'm not waiting for you to read it.
All 3 of us.
First. Yeah.
Shay too. And then my number 10 is going to be Heartbones by Colleen Hoover. I also feel like I don't hear enough people talk about Heartbones.
I'm in the middle of that one right now, and it's so good.
It's so good. It's very, if you like the Outer Banks TV show, this book is really giving the Outer Banks vibe.
Yeah. But see, in my head, I picture a little bit more of a classier beach.
Agreed, but
the cliqueness of it.
Yes.
The friend groups are
and
Outer
the
Banks.
adventure, the stuff that happens in it really very much gave me Outer Banks. So, yeah, that's kind of our top books. We felt like that was important. You need to get to know us a little bit. And then going along with that, I feel like it would only make sense for us to tell you how we rate our books. Why you can understand, like, why those are my top 10. Which, if you look at my Goodreads, then you'll be able to see kind of how I do that too. But I'm very particular about rating my books, which would make you think that I would rate them, like, very harshly, but I actually don't. So, when I'm rating a book, I like to think of it as, I feel like a lot of people when they're rating, it's based off just how they like it. I feel like I'm probably very indifferent about this because I like to think of it from the author's point of view too. Like, just because it didn't meet my expectations, I try to think of, okay, so let's say I'm reading a book and I'm like, why in the world did the author do this? I try to think of it as a way, like, okay, why did the author want to do this? What were they trying to have perceived by the readers when they did this? Yeah. You know, so I really try to think of it in a deeper aspect of, like, what did the author try to put across with this book? I try to think about the writing style of the book, like how well did it keep me hooked in, you know?
Okay, literature professor?
No, but I don't even know why I think about it that way, but I feel like some people are so harsh on reviews because they're like, oh my gosh, this book was absolutely awful. But, okay, was it awful, or is it just not your style?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I get that,
like,
yeah.
Are you just not understanding the author's point and the reasoning behind the book?
Yeah.
So I guess you could say, with that being said, I'm a little bit more lenient on my reviews, even though I'm still particular about it. So for me, a 5 is going to be like absolutely amazing with 10 out of 10 read again. Probably will read again. You'll find most of Colleen Hoover on that list. A lot of Christina Lauren, Tessa Bailey will be on that list. A 4.5 for me is going to be... It's amazing, but for some reason, whether that is the beginning was a little bit slow, or maybe I feel like the ending didn't give what I needed it to give. So remember I was telling you about The Dead Romantics. I read that the other day, and it was such a good book, but they hype up their relationship throughout the whole book, and then the ending just... I feel like I didn't get enough of what the author could have gave for the ending. So for that reason, I gave it a 4.5 because I did still really enjoy the read, but something about it isn't letting me give it that 5.
Yeah.
So then a 4 for me is going to be the book was great. I would probably still recommend it to a friend, but you probably won't catch me rereading it again one day.
Yeah.
And then I usually don't do like a 3.5 stars. I usually just go like 5, 4.5, 4, and then down to 3. If it's a 3, it's probably just okay, and I probably don't recommend it to a friend.
Okay.
So
that's kind of...
Yeah, that's kind of how I score. I haven't had to score anything lower than a 3. Thankfully, everything I've read has been pretty good. So... yeah, that's how I scored. I'm a little complex.
Yeah. See, it's a lot simpler for me because, like I said, Kaylyn handpicks the books that she gives me. The only 2 that I've gotten myself were... No, I got 3. Where the Crawdads Sing, I gave it 5 stars. And then The Seven Husbands, and then Regretting You. But even Regretting You, I gave it 4 stars at first, and then... You were like, why'd you give it 4 stars? It's so good. But that was my first Colleen Hoover book, and it was only my 3rd book that I ever read. I don't think I had read enough to actually appreciate the book. So with that being said, I still rate my books like in Goodreads, but for 1, I have only read 10. Yeah. And for 2, if Caitlin's handing it to me, it's at least one of her 4.5 stars, so it's really good. Yeah. So she knows I'm going to like it. So I haven't had to rate anything lower than that. So for me, it's like, they're all good.
Yeah, I've definitely given Alyssa all of the best ones. But I know y'all keep hearing us talk about Colleen Hoover. So we thought, since honestly Colleen is the reason why the both of us got into reading, even though you started with Where the Crawdads Sing, it's Colleen that really kind of hooked us both in. So I feel like it was necessary for us to give you an order that we recommend reading Colleen Hoover in. I do want to say that some of these Alyssa still hasn't read. I still haven't read Confess, Layla, Without Merit, the Maybe series. I think there might even be a Slam series, or I know there is one called Slammed. I haven't really gotten into those yet. I have read a lot of hers though, but I haven't made it that far yet. So those will be excluded. So number 1 has to be It Ends With Us.
It has to be.
It's such a good book.
Yes.
Everything about it, from the first sentence, like, oh my gosh, y'all. The first sentence, I was like, okay, this is it. I already know I'm going to be hooked.
It's so good.
The very first sentence is, as I sit here with 1 foot on either side of the ledge, looking down from 12 stories above the streets of Boston, I can't help but think about suicide. Like, how are you not immediately like, what in the world?
Yeah, her books are so, like, once you pick them up, you cannot put them down. They keep you
mostly
interested.
Because I don't know if a lot of people notice this. I'm sure they do, but you always meet the love interest in the first chapter.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
Not all books are like that. But in Colleen's, you do. And so you're immediately connected to the love interest. Because literally, just a couple paragraphs later, you meet the love interest in this.
Yeah.
And so, it's just very...
This book puts you through an internal struggle.
Yes.
Like, it's so bad, but so good.
I saw a TikTok about it the other day and was saying, but...
I think
talking about, like, Team Ryle and stuff. It's just so funny. And then, once again, like we said, she does have the It Starts With Us coming out in October. So, definitely recommend starting with this one. It is just such a good work of art. They're also turning it into a movie. So, you definitely want to make sure you read this one. But then, we recommend Ugly Love as second because Ugly Love is also... Which we were just saying this, all of Colleen's books are kind of heavy, honestly. Like, they all have their specific trigger warnings. So, once again, I recommend looking those up. But Ugly Love really wraps you in, because it ends with us as kind of like a wrecked relationship, almost.
It is.
And then reading Ugly Love after it ends with us definitely kind of helps fill that hole that It Ends With Us gave you.
Yeah.
So, then at number 3, we're going to have Verity, because you have to read Colleen's thriller.
I just got done with Verity.
Yes.
And it was so good. I think it left me, which none of her books leave you with a ton of questions. Like,
yeah.
I hate when a book just leaves you hanging. But Verity, I called Kaylyn, and I was like, so what do you think? It was so good.
Yes. If you read Verity, you got to let us know what team you're on. If you've read it, then you'll understand.
Yeah.
But we got to know if you're team manuscript or not.
Yeah.
That's a key question. Then, to kind of get you away from the thriller, getting back to the romance, you have to read Reminders of Him.
Mm-hmm.
You just absolutely have to. Reminders of Him is one of her best books. But I feel like I was telling Alyssa, the reason why I feel like you don't need to do Reminders of Him within the first 3 is because you got to read those 3 good ones to be able to love and appreciate Colleen, and then it will give you a whole different love and respect for Reminders of Him.
Yes, that's true.
It is such a freaking good book, and you have to really appreciate Colleen to appreciate that book to its full capacity.
No, you do, yeah.
So, then, because Reminders of Him will leave your heart completely shattered.
But in a good way.
Yeah, you have to make up with it with Heartbones. Heartbones is such a light and sweet read. That's the one Alyssa says she's still reading right now. I love Heartbones. I feel like it's just such a good one to go into after that. And then also one of her really like sweet reads is going to be November 9. Oh my gosh, it is the
November 9 is one of her favorites of mine.
And that one, it really throws you for a loop too. So that one is going to be about a girl who is in a fire, and so she has like a lot of scarring on her, and she meets a guy like an anniversary after it happened, which being November 9. The ending really throws you for a little bit of a loop, and yeah, so.
I cried with that one.
I probably did too. I think I cried over every single Colleen Hoover book, probably except for Verity, because it's a thriller. But yeah. And then after that, I have to say Regretting You, because it is, well, from what we've read, the only one of her books that in one book is going to have 2 love stories happening in it. It's going to have the love story happening with the mom, and then the love story happening with the daughter.
Yeah.
And, oh my gosh. That book had me wrapped around its finger. It is so freaking good. Like, I was even telling Alyssa, that's why she was saying I couldn't believe she rated it as 4 stars, because the lessons you learn in that book are insane.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm ready to read that one again.
That is an amazing one. You learn so much from that book. Incredible. So next at number... Well, we gave 9. So at number 8, I'm going to put All Your Perfects. And the reason why I do that is because at number 9, we have the Hopeless series. If you're not familiar with the Hopeless series, All Your Perfects ties into the Hopeless series, which Colleen actually didn't do. So she wrote Hopeless, Losing Hope, Finding Cinderella. And then she wrote, and I could be wrong about this, but then she wrote All Your Perfects, and then she concluded it with Finding Perfect.
Oh.
So, she really ties All Your Perfects in, and it is Finding Perfect is the last book of the Hopeless series, and it is everything you need to conclude all of that. But like I said, the Hopeless series definitely has some insane trigger warnings to it. So, and All Your Perfects deals with a lot of like IVF and not being able to have kids and stuff like that. So, definitely suggest, once again, looking up your trigger warnings. But
yeah,
that's pretty much the order that we suggest reading those in. They're amazing. You will not be disappointed by anything Colleen Hoover.
She's elite.
Absolutely. Now, this might not be a topic that's for everyone, so you can skip through this part if you like, but I love me a good spicy book, okay?
She loves her spicy books.
If you like smut, this is going to be a little part that's for you. I wanted to give a couple of suggestions for that because they just make for the best romance. The slow burn, everything about it. So, wanted to give you some recommendations on that. So, first off, anything Tessa Bailey. Anything Tessa Bailey.
I haven't even read anything Tessa Bailey
Oh
yet.
my gosh. So, it happened one summer, hook, line, sinker, and then I just finished My Killer Vacation the other week, and she's so good.
I'll have to get one of those
today. I love Tessa Bailey. And if you don't follow her on TikTok, she's freaking hilarious. Like, I love her TikToks. You have to follow her. So then also, Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score was my first spicy book, and Lucy Score is amazing. Okay, so definitely recommend that one. So I did want to read more by Lucy Score, so I did purchase By a Thread. It wasn't really my favorite. You can tell because I've had it for a while and I didn't give it to Alyssa to read.
Yeah.
I think I read it back in like end of March or April, and it just wasn't really
compared
my
to
favorite.
Things We Never Got Over.
Yeah, it wasn't. Now, if you want a book that's based solely on the spice, then it's a great book for you. But the whole book is only about it. I feel like the book didn't give enough on their romance. So, but if you don't really care about that part, then By a Thread is going to be a great one for you. So, I also have the Eden series by Denby Perry. Me and Shay love the Eden series. But yeah, the whole Eden series, she has another one coming out at the end of this month, actually. So, those are great. Those are books that are actually I think the reason why I love them so much is because they're so simple. Like, there's not some huge, crazy plot that happens. Like, the characters don't have some huge fight and hate each other. And then, you know.
So dramatic.
Yes. Nothing overly dramatic happens. It's just so good and simple and to the point. Amazing. So, I'm probably going to mess up her name, but Helen Hoang, I don't know how to say her last name correctly, but her Kiss Quotient series is so good. And Helen actually has Asperger's, which a lot of her Kiss Quotient series is about. The main character in each one has Asperger's. So, really enjoyed that series. Super good. And then a standalone is going to be Dating Dr. Deal by Nisha Sharma, I think is her name. Her books are, actually, that's the only book of hers that I've read, but that one was really good. I have a funny story. So ever since Mike has seen that, because all of the other books have like a basic name like this.
Yeah.
But Dating Dr. Deal is the only one that has like a name in it like that. Like Dating Dr. Deal.
Yeah.
Like, and so even the other night, I said I wanted something and Mike was like, go ask Dr. Deal. And I'm like,
That's
what
funny.
is your obsession with
the
Dr.
title
Deal?
of that book?
Y'all, I read that book
A while
definitely
ago.
over a month ago.
Yeah.
For sure. And anytime I bring up anything, he always just points out that one book.
That's so funny.
It's so funny. I'm like, you have an obsession over this for no reason. But, okay, so last with my favorite spicy books are going to be the Dreamland series. The Dreamland Billionaire series by Lauren Asher. I'm actually on the second one right now, so I've read The Fine Print the other day, and I'm currently reading Terms and Conditions. And if you want to read a good billionaire book, that is the one. I need homeboy to take me on a private jet to New York.
Oh, stop.
I'm just kidding. I love you, Mike. So yeah, those are my favorite smut books. You can definitely find some good recommendations on TikTok, though. But with all of that being said, here is how we recommend you staying involved in the book world.
Yes.
So,
I'm not very good at this.
Oh my gosh. Well, for one, Booktok is huge. Huge.
Yeah.
Like,
it is.
I have probably at least every 4th video, half the time, is like a Booktok
Not
video.
for me, but I love when I get done reading a book, I love to go just like search the title of it into TikTok and watch all the TikToks.
I've found a lot of my recommendations from
that
TikTok.
too, yeah.
And with that, you need to find you some good accounts. So, one of my favorite ones that I follow, I feel like her stuff isn't too aggravating. Like, I love the stuff that she posts. But her name is Pauline, and her @ is The Books I've Loved. So, if you haven't seen her stuff yet, you should. She actually just met Christina and Lauren the other day, and she went to the Summer I Turned Pretty preview that they had. Yeah, so she gets to go to some cool stuff. So I love seeing the stuff that she shares. Also, you need to find you some good Instagram accounts. I have a lot come up on my For You page too, or my homepage too lately. I'm not really sure why. I think I followed one account, but one good one, she doesn't post a lot of quotes and stuff, but my TikTok, she was actually a bride. She just got married in April, but my TikTok friend Emily has an account called M Reads Good, so EM Reads Good, and she posts a lot of her reviews, and she is very detailed. She rates very strategically. So,
okay, I need to go follow her.
Yeah, so she has some really good ratings and some reviews, so definitely check her out. But also, Goodreads. I've put so many people on Goodreads.
Yes.
I begged Shay for months to download Goodreads, and she finally did.
Yes, it's a very good way to keep track with what you want to read, what you have read.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and you can set a goal for the year, how many books you want to read for that year. So my goal is 75, and I've read, almost 40 out of 75?
Yeah.
So, yeah, definitely recommend Goodreads. You will love it so much. After I finish a book, I run to Goodreads to leave my review. For what? The 20 people I'm friends with?
Yeah, they help.
So, yeah, that's how we recommend staying involved in the book world. But, well, that concludes today's episode.
It was a good one. I had
fun.
My
gosh, yes, this was such a fun one. We almost fixed ourselves some coffee to have it with y'all, but we've already had one today and decided to not overdo it with the caffeine. But we would absolutely love to know if you start reading any of our recommendations, and honestly, if you start getting into reading because of us, let us know. We want to know those things.
Tag us.
If you've been reading for a year and you agree with our recommendations, let us know. We want to talk to you about this. We freaking love reading. So, and if you're listening to this on upload day, I forgot what that date is going to be, but the actual date, but definitely on a Thursday. So if you're listening to this on the day it uploads, then I'm going to try to post a story today on Instagram asking for book recommendations. So definitely drop your recommendations in the box. I might try to share them to the story if I can. So,
yes.
Once again, make sure to subscribe, share, follow all of our socials. As I was just mentioning, I like to be a little active on our social medias. I like to post quotes that kind of match the podcast that we're doing for that week. And then I also like to post little sneak peeks and stuff like that. So all of our socials will be linked in the description box below. And that's it. So we'll see y'all next week. Bye, friends.